Today we're going to discuss the most important dilemma for any roofing business owner: how much to charge. I'm going to give you 3 potential business models for your business. This video is designed for my roofing friends. My goal is to help at least one person out there who needs to hear this message. When you open a roofing business, you don't know how much marketing will cost you, how many jobs you're going to get, how many leads you're going to get. You don't have any data, any numbers to analyze yet. I'm going to show you 3 different business plans, 3 different scenarios with completely different numbers, and hopefully you will be able to make a decision what path you're going to take for your business. Are you going to stay small and have high profit margins, or you're going to be a volume contractor with the low profit margins? Let's go. First, let's talk about 5 factors that builds your price. Number 1, cost of labor. Number 2, cost of materials. Number 3, desirable profit margin. Number 4 is your overhead, and number 5 is your closing rate. And I will explain how those 5 variable factors affect your price. Cost of labor, obviously, you can't control. It fluctuates a little bit, but usually in most markets, you're going to be within $20 range. So for example, in Minneapolis today, walkable roof starts anywhere from $65 to $95 per square, $70, $90, $80. That's what we'll pay. Market will set up those prices. If you just have a recent storm, the price is probably going to go up. Unfortunately, you can't really control the prices. You have to adjust to them. You cannot tell subcontractors how much to charge or how much people wants to get paid. So you really cannot control much of the cost of labor. On the cost of materials, same thing. You can't control it. You have to adjust. Every year, your business will be getting letters from the suppliers. The prices usually goes up, something we don't have control over. But you can improve your profit margins on materials. The bigger you are, the more buying power you have. You cannot control it, but you can improve those numbers and your bottom line. Desirable profit margins, we're all different. I personally know some roofing business owners, friends in my circles, who would not touch the job unless they have 20% net profit margins. And I have millionaires who maintain their businesses at 5%. This really goes hand to hand with your personality style, with your mentality. As a matter of fact, even in the big corporate world, sometimes companies like Amazon would be a great example, lower their price to put competition out of business. So there's many factors here, but desirable profit margin is something that you personally as a business owner will have to make a decision. How much profit are you willing to take, or how much profit are you going after? Are you ready to sacrifice for lower profit margins, or your ego is telling you that your time is super valuable and you cannot take jobs if it's 20-30% profit margins? You have to make that decision. I cannot make it for you. Number 4 is overhead. Obviously it varies. Are you staying in your house, working out of your garage or your living room, or do you have a huge warehouse with a whole bunch of vehicles in your name, in your business name? And the last one is closing rate. It takes time to build a system to improve closing rate. For example, 3 years ago we did math. That year we have weak sales manager and we have very, very low closing rate, just 18%. If we would have in 2017 closing rate that we have in 2020, we would be $9.5 million, and we only did $4 million in 2017. You get the idea. If you increase your closing rate from 18% to 36%, you're literally doubling your volume, you're doubling your profits, everything goes way better. But it takes time to improve your sales system, to improve your closing rate, and you should be paying attention weekly to your closing rate, because if your closing rate is too small, you probably should be reducing your price. And when it goes up, you can increase your price. You get the idea. I'll talk about closing rates when I show you 3 different models to adopt for your business. But first, let's talk about the most important number out of all of them is your business break-even point. Break-even point is the minimum amount of work to sell to be profitable. It's absolute minimum. It drives me absolutely crazy how many business owners don't know their break-even point. For example, guys, look at this chart right here. My business is in Minneapolis. Believe it or not, it actually looks almost identical to what was happening in my business for the last 7 years. Took me a couple of years to figure it out, but we're only making money 6 months out of the year. Other 6 months, we are losing money. As a matter of fact, same story goes to Chicago, Michigan. Unless you very diversified contractor and you have a lot of trades and you're very busy in the wintertime, in most northern states, it will look like this. You will make money some month of the year and you will be in red others. I know if I do $4 million a year, I can calculate my profit margins, I can calculate my payroll, my expenses, and I can break it down for an entire year. You have to know at any given time, how much do you have to sell to stay profitable. To summarize break-even point, it has nothing to do with individual job cost. It has everything to do with how you run your business. Cost of employees, cost of operation, marketing, and all other expenses. If you don't meet your break-even point, no matter what price per product, roof, siding, gutters, it doesn't matter. You can do all you want and jobs individually can look like they're profitable. You're making wrong decisions how much you charge, because if you're not making money to break your break-even point, you're losing money while you're thinking that you're profitable per job. So let's see how it breaks down in different business models. You have 5 major forces that affects your break-even point. Number 1, obviously, it's overhead. It's how much you have to make just to keep the doors open. You have to pay your receptionist, you have to pay car insurance, you have to pay yourself. All of those costs are going to be your overhead cost. If you don't pay your rent, they're going to kick you out. If you don't pay your phone bill, people will not be able to call you. You have to calculate all of this. Maybe it's $10,000. Well, to make $10,000 a month with a 10% net, you have to sell the jobs for at least $100,000 to get $10,000 operating. Now your break-even point is $100,000. You get the idea. Number 2 is your closing rate. You have to know what your closing rate is. If you don't know your closing rate, you will have hard time figuring out your break-even point. I'll show you in a second. Number 3 is your price. Sometimes lowering the price actually can make you profitable. I know it makes no sense right now, but I will show you in numbers because numbers don't lie. Number 4 is demand. Sometimes hard work is just not enough. For example, in the winter time up north, I don't care how much you spend on marketing. I don't care how much you try to get jobs. People just not going to hire you. There's not enough work. After the storm, you have a huge demand. Everything changes dramatically. In the springtime, in the June, July, and August, summer months, you have to know what demand looks like. For example, for me, for years, I knew that October in Minnesota is the busiest month of the year, not September, not August, not July, October. I know I will do $800,000 in August, but I also know I will do $1 million in October. I have a data to look at, and I can explain it now. I couldn't explain it before. So you have to know your demand numbers because you have to prepare for that demand, or slow down spending money when you know demand is not going to take place. And lastly, number 5 is your average ticket. In the restaurant business, it's your average check. Here in roofing business and construction companies, average ticket. What's the cost of your average job? Is it $10,000? Is it $9,000? Is it $15,000? You have to know that price as well. Now I'm going to show you 3 different scenarios, what you can do with all these 5 forces, how you can adjust your business model. Your break-even point, just for the sake of comparison, for all 3 business models, going to be the same, $450,000. All 3 business models will also have 200 leads per month. First one will have high price of $600 per square. If you're up north, it's probably not as high to you, but if you're in Alabama, the price is high. $600 per square. You have low closing rate, just at 20%. Your break-even point is $450,000. Your average ticket here is about $10,000. So with these numbers, if you are getting 200 leads per month and your closing rate is 20%, you're gonna close about 40 jobs and your sale is gonna be about $400,000. So while you're charging a lot, $600 per job, you need $450,000 to stay in business. This month, you're gonna lose money. You're gonna be in red 50 grand. That's the first business model in my book. A lot of people operate like this. They run, they sell. They never understand why they don't have money in the bank. As a matter of fact, recently, I've been reviewing one of the businesses from a roofing school where I teach. It's online school, and one of my students was charging about the same, $600 up north in Maryland. And I asked him what his closing rate was, and his closing rate was about 20 to 30%. And I asked him why he was charging that. He really did not give me answer. I guess the answer was something within the lines like, that's the going rate, that's what people are charging. I asked him, if we would lower your price, what your profit margins would be, and we did that. Actually helped his business a lot. So in this business model, you're losing $50,000 because your closing rate is so low. Even if you charge too much, in your opinion, you're still gonna be in red. Second business model, mid-price, mid-volume. Here we have the same break-even point. You have to make $450,000 a month to be profitable. You have 200 leads per month, but now we're gonna reduce the price from 600 to 550, about 10% off. So now your closing rate, because your price is lower, now more and more people are going to be doing business with you. Every time, by the way, when you lower, or almost every time when you lower your price, your closing rate usually goes up. It's easier to sell. It's harder to sell at the top. In the middle, it's a little bit easier. Now your closing rate is about 30%. Your average ticket, because of that, went down. It's about $9,500. Now you're going to be closing about 60 jobs at $9,500. Again, mentally, it's hard for a lot of people. You feel like you're leaving money on the table. But let me show you what's happening to your business with this scenario. So everything is the same. So your marketing costs the same. You have 200 leads per month. All of it is the same. But now your sales went up to $570,000. You can't make this up. Closing rate increased just 10%, but your number of jobs, because your average ticket is $9,500, your number of jobs is 60, so you're not as profitable as you would be with a 600, but you actually make $570,000. So you are $120,000 above break-even point. And if you're netting 12%, which is with this numbers, you're going to be making about $68,000 this month with this business model. Third scenario is something many big companies don't want to do, not willing to do. It's low price and high volume. Now, you just the cheapest guy, your price is very low, your closing rate is high or much higher. You're probably not the cheapest, but you're definitely towards the lower end. And let's see what's going to happen to your business now. You still have the same overhead, about $450,000 a month, same marketing budget. You're getting about 200 leads per month, but now your price is $500 a square. So $500 a square competes with the $600 a square. Guess what? Way more people are going to be choosing you because you're cheaper. Your average ticket now is about $8,000. Your break-even point is the same, but your closing rate is 50%. Now you have to do 100 jobs, something not many people willing to do. Many guys don't want that hustle. They would rather do 40 jobs like they did in the first scenario. The problem there, even with the 40 jobs, you just didn't make enough to justify a payroll. Now you have to do 100 jobs. You have to work a little bit harder, stay longer hours. You get the idea. But look what's happening to your numbers, to your bottom line. You're actually bringing $800,000 a month. You're $350,000 above break-even point, and net profit at 10% is $80,000. $80,000. Let's look at all three, compare head to head. You have a first one, high price, low volume, mid price, mid volume, low price, high volume. all three business models. I cannot tell you how to run your business. You know, I can consult with you. You can enroll in roofingschool.com tomorrow. We'll schedule weekly phone calls. I would love to help you, but this is your decision. Here's my recommendation though. Never stay in red, or don't stay in red for too long. Or if you're staying in red, make sure it's intentional. Make sure you prepare for it. Last year, I talked to a business owner out of Michigan. They're doing $17 million a year, pocketing 1.5. And I talked to them about winter months, and they told me, Dmitry, we're red. Like, they need almost $1 million a month, like 740,000, I believe, was the number of break-even point. So they knew that in the winter months they're losing a couple $100,000, but they're still gonna make 1.5, 1.7 at the end of the year. You have to decide how to run your business. I'm here to tell you this. If you start on the far left, low price and high volume, what you can do, you can always improve this business model. You can always improve these numbers. Like, for example, if you train your sales guys, so if your closing rate in the last business model goes up, just goes up dramatically. Now you're selling 80, 90%. I don't think you should be selling to everyone. You should maintain right there about 50%. What you can do, you can train your sales guys, build better value, more value during the sales presentations with the homeowners. Make sure you can back up all the warranties, because high volume sometimes comes with a lot of headaches, something we don't like. So if you're here, if you're the cheapest guy right now, but you're profitable, make sure you never stop improving. Make sure quality of the work, quality of presentations, quality of the sales process goes up, because if you improve this and the price goes, $510, $520, closer to $550, now you're moving from far left to the middle, but your closing rate is higher. Now you're going to be making more money, 12, maybe even 15%, and who knows, maybe in a year or two you will be able to charge $600 a square and be very profitable, staying way above the line, and maintain 50% closing rate at the highest price. In my observation, the biggest companies out there, that's what they do. They do high volume and they do also high price, but they invest in accounting. They always know and analyze their numbers. They know their break-even points. They manage their companies based on the presentations like this, analyzing their numbers, always knowing their closing rates, always knowing their average ticket, always knowing their profitable trades, always know the difference between high volume and high price, low, all this weird dynamics, knowing what's going to happen in different months before it actually happens. Like, for example, in my business, the slowest month of the summer is June. How do I know it? I analyze my numbers. So if my team wants to take some vacations days, it's going to be June. I'm preparing for that because I want to lower my overhead that month. I know demand is not going to be, very busy. So guys, if you need any help with this topic, comment below. What are your questions? I answer and read all my questions. If you want to schedule phone call with me to analyze your business, I'm going to put number in description below. You're always welcome to our roofing school. This is kind of stuff we discuss with our students. We have 4 teachers available to talk to you on a weekly basis. I love numbers. I love helping small business owners. I got in financial trouble after being in business for 2 years. I could not find anyone who could help me figure out my business. It took me 2 years dealing with accountants, lawyers, and analyzing all my numbers and data to figure out how to run my business. You have YouTube, you have online education. I believe 2021 is much easier year to learn business than it was 5-10 years ago when I was starting my career as a business owner. Make sure you give this video a like if you like this content, and it will send us a signal that this content is needed, and we'll produce more videos for you. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us or comment below. I'll see you guys in the next video.